Hi, and welcome to a brand new video. So today I'm going to be talking about how you could memorize the derivatives of the trig functions and also their inverse. By inverse, I mean something like sine -1 of x. So this would be the inverse of the function. So first, let's write down the derivatives and see what types of commonalities we see. So for sine of x, we have cosine of x. For cosine of x, we have negative sine of x. For tan of x, we have secant squared of x. For secant, we have secant of x times tan of x. For cosecant of x, we have cosecant of x times cotangent. And for cotangent, we have cosecant squared of x. And for both of these series are both negative. So what types of patterns do we see? Well, these first two, they're grouped together. No one else in the table has cosine or sine. It's just the first two. This is what we would call, or I call, a partner. That's strange. There we go. Next, you can see the same thing here. These will also be a partner. And then same in this last one right over here. You can identify these partners by, if you know the trig identities, you can see that these two here, their cosine squared x plus sine squared x is one of the trigonometric Pythagorean identities. And it remains the same partner pair. So if that's how you want to remember the partners, that's one way to do it. Next, as you can see in this first one here, we have just one function. And this one function is its partner. So for the normal, we just have the partner for sine and cosine. For tangent and cotangent, we have their partner squared. As you can see, their partner is squared. And this is also partner squared. And then lastly, for these two, they're their partner times themselves. So partner times self and partner times self. But you also must be noticing that we have these negative signs out front. And if we go over to the functions which have these negatives, we see that it all starts with the c. So the ones with the c have a negative. So that is how to memorize the normal derivatives. Now the inverse derivatives, they're super strange, but you'll get used to it after we go through some of the ways you can memorize it. Well, first, everything starts with the 1 over. So that would be pretty straightforward. Great. Now, what I'm going to do is since sine and cosine are partners, and in this one, it's tan and cotangent and secant and cosecant, which are the partners. And this one is a pretty straightforward because you can see the tan and the cotangent. They're the reciprocals of each other. Sine and cosine stay the same, and then that means these two must be grouped together. So I'm just going to focus on each one in the pair, and then you'll see how that correlates with its partner. So for sine and for secant, what we notice is I'm going to be using the sine, the secant, and the tangent. So for the ones with an s at front, s stands for square root, and it also stands for subtraction. So, as you expect, we'll have a square root and some sort of subtraction. Now for tangent, you see that it looks like a plus sign. So we know that there's a plus sign here. This is where it gets a little bit strange. For sine and tangent, we have it's 1 and x squared. So it's 1 minus x squared and 1 plus x squared. And now these two are done. But for secant here, it's the odd one out. So it's actually x squared minus 1. And if you want to find a way to remember it, the ones with the n's at the end, they're normal. N stands for normal. And since secant doesn't have an n at the end, it's the odd one out. It's also the odd one out because it doesn't just have a square root here, it also has this absolute value of x at the front. So don't forget to remember this when you are writing your inverse trig functions. So remember secant, it has a c at the end, it's the odd one out. And then coming back to these partner pairs, in the partner pair, just write down the same thing. So we have square root x minus 2. Here we have 1 absolute value of x, square root of x squared minus 1. And then here we have 1 plus x squared. But the thing is that these partners, they just have negatives out front. So we have 3 negatives right here. So they're the same as their partner pairs, except for their negative. So that is how you can memorize the derivatives for the trig functions normal and inverse identities. So I hope this video was helpful, and see you in the next video.